Wolverine of the X-Men is the prototypical badass, the battle-hardened curmudgeon, a grizzled cranky pants. As a trope, the Wolverine character is typically older than the pretty, fresh-faced heroes they travel with. Perhaps they begrudgingly serve a mentor role. Perhaps they've got the heart of a teddy bear behind an abrasive exterior. Perhaps they've got a weapon on their arm that symbolizes their rage. You know, like Wolverine. Welcome to Everything is Final Fantasy. My name is Ira Kreisman. I am one half of the Final Fantasy Weekly podcast, and these are my picks for the top 10 Wolverines of Final Fantasy. Heads up for some minor spoilers. First, some honorable mentions. Rocking red dreadlocks, tattoos, and no sleeves, Amaranth Coral is a stoic, solitary martial artist. Initially hired to kill Vivi, Amaranth joins the group after Zidane defeats him in a duel. The not-quite villain of Chrono Trigger is maybe too pretty to be a Wolverine, but his willingness to get the job done, summoning Lavos in an attempt to kill it, is pretty badass. The head of the disciplinary committee at Balam Garden is a bit young, a bit idealistic to be a Wolverine. But, given time, he's headed down that path. Turning his back on the garden to become the sorceress's knight is just the kind of tragic backstory that makes a compelling, grizzled veteran. Number 10. Tella. The great sage of Mysidia is significantly older than the rest of the party, even Cid. He is a grizzled veteran of magical combat, a world-weary traveler. He's forgotten more about black magic than most people will ever learn. His primary goal through his journey in Final Fantasy IV is to avenge his daughter, to kill Golbez with the biggest, baddest, most explosive magic he knows. He's just got to remember it first. Tella is not a hand-to-hand fighter. He's maybe a bit more kooky than cranky, but his grizzled age and drive to commit violence put him squarely on this list. Number 9. T.G. Cid. With a title like Thunder God, you'd best be ready to back it up. Hero of the 50 Years' War and one of the strongest characters in the party, Cidolfus Orlando is a war veteran, overshadowing any other hero in the band of heretics. He is, perhaps, a bit noble for the Wolverine archetype, but he has a thirst for justice, detests corruption, and none can best him in trial by arms. He's a framed man, a sword saint, an adoptive father. He's like if Old Ben and Logan fused, but without the claws. Number 8. Cyan and Shadow. It's a bit of a cheat to pull two characters from Final Fantasy VI, but it's the biggest cast. So it goes. Cyan Garamond is ready to take on the entire Imperial encampment after Kefka poisons Doma. He fells soldier after soldier in combat. His rage at the death of his people, his king, his wife, his son, is only held in check by force of will and strength of honor. Few have seen as much, lost as much, as the samurai of Doma. Shadow's story is lost to mist and nightmares. He is haunted more by what he wasn't willing to do for friendship than what he will do for money. Quiet, cold, only kind to his dog, Shadow is an unlikely hero but a stalwart one. He might not admit it, but he'd wait for you, so you'd better wait for him. Number 7. Gladio. Who's going to bully the king into getting his shit together, if not the bodyguard with a giant scar across his chest and an appreciation for cup noodle? Gladiolus Amicitia is fairly good-natured for a Wolverine, but he pushes Noctis harder than anyone else. He literally shoves the Prince of Light more than once. He teaches Noct to fish, to fight, to not give up just because things get hard. If Noctis screws up, Gladio will let him know it. He is gruff, abrasive, and absolutely dedicated to Noctis' well-being. As the shield-wielding bodyguard, Gladio serves as the physical and emotional backbone of the group, supporting the boys through the toughest of trials. Number 6. Jack Garland. Was Jack Garland always the villain of Final Fantasy? After 1,000 times through the 2,000-year time loop, does it even matter? Jack doesn't give a fuck either way. It's bullshit. All he knows for sure is that he's here to listen to Sinatra and kill chaos. Jack's defining traits are his anger and his single-mindedness. Who knows better what it takes to be a hero if not the old man who's become disillusioned with heroism? Jack and his band of fiends live in a world slowly descending into madness, breaking at the multiversal seams. As it becomes clear who's at fault, Jack lets his fury lead him down the path of a hero, a villain, a badass. When the end is near, the final curtain, he'll make it clear, of this I'm certain, Jack does it his way. Number 5. Lightning. The strong and determined protagonist of Final Fantasy XIII fits the Wolverine archetype in her own way. She may not be a grizzled old man, but she's seen more than her fair share of combat. Her war-hardened resolve and icy exterior make her a formidable force. She can summon Odin, ride Sleipnir, and wield Zantetsuken. Lightning wants only to protect her sister Sarah, even if she has to take on an oppressive government to do so. Her trials give her a cold and stoic demeanor at times, but her unwavering resolve makes her the best weapon the good guys could hope for. Number 4. Bosch. If I could protect but one person from war's horror, then I would bear any shame. I would bear it proudly. Bosch von Ronsenberg of Dalmasca is an honorable knight, carrying the weight of a false accusation. His loyalty to his kingdom and desire to protect Ash, the rightful heir to the throne, drives him to great lengths. He's not as brash as other Wolverines, but he is nearly as scruffy and just as fierce when guarding his friends and allies. A dark past? Check. A brooding disposition? Double check. A need to do the right thing despite what the entire world may think of him? All Bosch is missing are the claws. Number 3. Clive. What a lively, hopeful, fresh-faced hero that Clive Rossfield is. In the beginning. Right up until Phoenix Gate. Right up until... well, spoilers. When we catch up with Clive a couple decades later, he's a member of the Bastards sent to kill the dominant of Shiva. Even as the fury of the gods rains down around him, as his fellows are squished underfoot, Clive persists. By the time he joins the rebellion, he's served on the front lines, been subject to slavery, and is as battle-hardened as they get. And yet, the most Wolverine thing about Clive might be how he softens as the game goes on. He learns the names of the people at Hideaway. He runs errands for the infirm. He learns to accept the truth. Number 2. Auron. Enigmatic. Stoic. Auron embodies the role of the begrudging mentor in a party of young heroes. With his tattered coat, sake jug, and cool glasses, he pushes the heroes toward their ultimate goal, the defeat of sin, the achieving of calm. Auron's Wolverine status is particularly compelling when compared to his time as Summoner Braska's guardian. Back then he was young, idealistic, clean-shaven. But serving the last summoner to defeat sin, learning the truth of the matter, becoming otherworldly, pushed Auron down the path of the grizzled veteran. He cares for the young heroes, he guides them, but he won't tell them the truth until the end. Number 1. Barrett. It's not his fault, it's not. But Barrett Wallace will never forgive himself for letting Shinra Electric Company into his hometown. He will never forgive himself for the death of his wife, Myrna, or his friend, Dine. The very definition of a grolluxed-up arm weapon that is a symbol for his rage, Barrett's arm cannon is a powerful and menacing weapon. It is a physical manifestation of his fury. It is a symbol of his righteous anger against the corporate tyranny of Shinra. The heart of a rebellion, the conscience of a cause. Barrett wrestles with his decision, agonizes over those he's hurt. Barrett's anger is justified, but more than that, he takes seriously his role as mentor, leader, Papa Bear of Avalanche. He is gentle with his adopted daughter. He worries he's not a good person, but he knows he is extraordinarily good at what he does. And what he does isn't always nice.